Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the FNN Politics and Power Series. This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News, of course. Thank you for joining us. Now, this week's guest is a little bit different from a lot of the other politics and power guests that you guys have seen. Normally, you guys have seen me interview elected officials or folks who work in the public sector. Today, we're actually interviewing someone who is in the world of journalism. And yes, there is some power to the media because, of course, news media determines the narrative that folks get to hear in terms of the world around them, like current events, the way it shapes their opinion. So we wanted to talk to someone who is at the local level, not necessarily in Orlando specifically, but still in that Orange County area. So we are going to give you a bit of a brief introduction into Norine Dworkin. Wanted to let you know just a little bit about her. So Norine is someone who has over 20 years of journalistic experience. She is the founding editor for a new media outlet called VoxPopuli, which we will get into in detail in this particular show. It's a nonprofit news organization covering politics, government, and social justice issues that impact Winter Garden, Ocoee, Windermere, and Oakland. Now, the media outlet launched back in January. Now, she's the founding editor. She's an award-winning author and blogger with those 20 plus years of experience. Her writing has been published in daily newspapers such as the Orange County Register, Cleveland Plain Dealer, and the Miami Herald. She has been in the LGBTQ weeklies, The Village Voice, and numerous magazines. Now, we're talking glossies, by the way, guys. She's been published in Redbook, Marie Claire, More, Family Circle, and Dr. Oz's The Good Life. Sorry about that. Now, her book, The Science of Parenthood, Thoroughly Unscientific Explanations for Utterly Baffling Parenting Situations, won the 2016 Independent Book Publishers Association Gold Benjamin Franklin Award for Parenting and Family. She lives in Winter Garden with her teenage son. So founding VoxPopuli in that area and kind of covering that area makes sense. Now, without further ado, let's bring in Norine. Norine, welcome to the show.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for taking the time. So what I like to ask every guest that I have on my show, since we're still kind of in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, I like to do a check first. Like how have you and your son and your family overall been faring during the pandemic? And what's your thoughts on the state of Florida's response that you've seen so far?
Well, fortunately, we're all doing fine. We came through the pandemic without any serious problems. We all locked down. We got a little cabin fever, but we came through okay. Nobody got sick. We were very careful about that. Everybody's vaccinated, and we were glad to finally be able to get out a little bit more. But we all weathered it okay. So in terms of the Florida's response, I wish that Florida had handled things a bit differently. We're seeing with the Delta variant roar back. We have 1,000 cases a day. Our 14-day rolling positivity rate is up 14%. Last week it was 11%. That's, we're going in the wrong direction is what's happening. We've got a lot of vaccine hesitancy and a lot of pockets. It's vaccine hostility. And, I'd like to see the numbers turn around, to head back down. So Personally, I would like to see, mask mandates put back into place the way LA is doing now and St. Louis is doing. You really don't know who out there is vaccinated or not. When I'm in a crowded area, I wear a mask. I've had infectious disease specialists tell me that, the best defense is, belt and suspenders. You have a vaccine and then you wear a mask to prevent the virus from getting into your nose and throat. So the vaccines they do offer protection, but what the infectious disease specialists have told me is that you need both shots of a 2-shot regimen. The first shot against the Delta variant, only offers about 13% protection. So you need both shots. That brings it up to about 88%. So, and we're starting to see breakthrough cases of coronavirus, even among people who have been vaccinated. So medical people are not surprised by that. But the best way to, be protected is to, get vaccinated and further wear a mask in crowded situations. We're heading into back to school. I've told my son that I fully expect him to wear a mask when he goes back to school. I'm in favor of the schools opening, but we've got a whole bunch of kids mixing from all over the place. And even though OCPS has said that the mask will be optional, I think kids ought to wear them.
And what is your response to those who feel that their rights are being encroached upon with those mandates?
Well, I look at it this way. I mean, there are certain things that we have to do because it's for the good of public health. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. And I look at the vaccine the way I look at, wearing a seatbelt when you're driving a car, when you wear a helmet, when you're riding a motorcycle. The vaccine is protective against a virus that is, killing people worldwide. It's killed over 600,000 Americans across the country. Well over 30,000 Floridians. That number may actually be even higher. It's larger than yourself. So you do the thing that's good for your fellow man. And I just don't buy into the mandates are encroaching on your personal rights. This thing is a public health crisis. So when people were dying of polio, nobody was saying, this is, my personal rights. When kids die of measles, nobody was saying, this is my personal rights and I'm refusing the vaccine. This is a global pandemic. We do what we need to do to get on top of this pandemic. And the only way that we're going to get on top of it is for everybody to get vaccinated and to prevent the viruses from mutating further into something that, these vaccines will no longer be protective against.
Got you. And, for you guys' information who are watching the show, we recently spoke with the Orange County, like the Florida Department of Health, the Orange County Department, and Albina Chu, who's the epidemiologist that focuses on the different variants that are out there. They're up to Lambda, and this was as of last Monday. So right. Delta isn't where it stopped. Like the variants are still happening.
Right.
So just wanted to give you guys that update. Like the virus is still mutating. But we're gonna keep this conversation going, guys. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. You guys know the deal. We will keep it brief and be right back.
Catch a wave of excitement with the new Guy Harvey $500,000 Florida Cash Scratch-Off, featuring tons of cash and one-of-a-kind promotional prizes. Get yours today. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket. Claim it.
And we are back with the FNN Politics and Power Show, guys. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in with us. Of course, I'm Melissa Thomas, and we are here with Norine Dworkin, who is the founding editor of VoxPopuli. So let's get into it. Kind of, first of all, talk about the name of the publication. VoxPopuli, for those who have no idea, kind of break that down.
Sure. The VoxPopuli is essentially voice of the people. And the reason I decided to name the publication that is because I wanted to advocate for the people in Winter Garden, in Ocoee, Oakland, and Windermere. So what we stand for is, being a voice for the people, holding politicians accountable. We look into political things, governmental things. We're advocates for social justice, and we want to report back to the people. We want to be a voice for the people, to government, to politicians, and that is the sum total of why we named the publication what we did.
And talk about, because obviously this is a newer publication. So why take the route of creating something new versus kind of joining into an existing one?
Sure. Newspapers and other publications are pulling back from local coverage, and what we do here at VoxPopuli is we fill a niche. There's not a whole lot of local coverage in our area of the political realm, in the governmental realm, and so we fill that niche where there just isn't coverage. We cover the stories that aren't being covered. We go where other publications aren't going into the communities. So today, for instance, I was at the collective bargaining session between the Ocoee firefighters and the city of Ocoee. I was the only media person there.
Wow.
I'm often the only media representative in places that, I was at a groundbreaking for a septic to sewer event in the city of Oakland, and I was the only one there. So, larger publications, they just don't have the resources to be everywhere. Larger publications like the Sentinel, they do fantastic work, but they're stretched thin, and they pick and choose where they can put their resources, and often local news is where they cut. So publications such as VoxPopuli, we can step in and we can fill that gap, because otherwise there isn't going to be somebody who's going to be there to go to the city commission meetings and report back to the community. Not necessarily on what new business is opening up. That's really not what our bailiwick is. But I was at the city commission meeting for Winter Garden, and they are in the middle of deciding which citizens are going to sit on the community boards and committees. And in the city of Winter Garden, those people have largely been white and male. And there are 62 positions on the boards and committees. And so I was there to point out that only 19% of those positions have been filled by women, and only 3% have been filled by people of color. So, I'm there to remind them that Winter Garden is 56.3%, communities of color, and those communities need to be represented on those boards. So that's the purpose of VoxPopuli, to remind officials that they need to look beyond what they may traditionally be considering.
And you kind of touched on my next question, which is kind of what fuels your focus to niche into holding the elected officials in these areas accountable versus covering a lot of the broader topics, the different business openings, different school events in those communities, because I know there are a lot of smaller publications that also cover that. But what made you decide to niche down to that and not even bother with those?
Well, I think the Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis said it best. Sunlight makes the best disinfectant, and there just has to be accountability, and that's the traditional role of the media. They call us the fourth estate. We are the fourth branch of government. We're the ones who pay attention. We're the ones who dig. We look in all the dark corners, and we make sure that the government officials are doing what they say that they're going to be doing. And as the larger newspapers, who have many more resources than we have at VoxPopuli, as they have to pull back because their resources are getting cut as well, it opens up space for smaller publications to do so at a local level. If smaller publications, local publications, don't step up to do this stuff, then local politicians, local government officials, then nobody's watching them, and we don't know what's going to go on at that local level. I caught, the city commission in Winter Garden, misrepresenting minutes at a commission meeting, just based on something that I had said that was incorrect. And when I asked for it to be corrected, it was not. So I wrote a column in VoxPopuli saying that it was time for us to have recorded minutes so that citizens could listen to what was being said. And I always record every time I go and I speak before the commission, so that I have a record of it. And at that point, 3 city commissioners went and spoke with the city clerk, and the city manager brought it up, used words right out of my column, and said that they were going to start linking recordings to the minutes. And now if you go onto the City of Winter Garden's website, you can see that you can click on a recording of the minutes right next to PDFs of the minutes. So that's what gets me out of bed every morning, is making sure that these things are available for the citizens, because citizens should know how their government is working, right down to the local government.
Very well said. And I mean, and thanks for sharing that. That's actually a great example of what I mentioned at the top of the show, where, the media is highly influential in terms of that sort of politics and power tagline that we like to use. Like, the media is a very powerful tool. So, thank you for sharing that example. We appreciate that. Now, to your point about, and this is, we're going to head into a commercial break, guys. We want to get into this real quick before the break. One of the things that you're focusing on right now is the Ocoee firefighter pay situation. We had a previous show on Florida National News called Let's Clarify, and myself and my co-host Angel Perry, like we touched on this because she also had heard about it and was looking into it, and we were scratching our heads, like wondering, like, what is happening. So what are you allowed to share so far that our audience can learn more about what's going on over there?
Sure. We have a front page story about the fire department called Up in Flames, because the fire department is, they've lost 33 people in the last 3 years, 14 people just since January, and it's largely over pay issues. So basically, a starting firefighter at the Ocoee Fire Department gets paid $13.74. That's from their last contract. That's a raise that the union had negotiated, but the firefighters who'd been there longer, they did not get any kind of a raise. So that's something that they're hoping to negotiate in this next round. But the problem with that is that's still really not enough to live on, because new hires are expected to get certified as paramedics within the first 2 years of their hire, and they sign a contract to do that, and that can cost between $8,000 to $10,000 depending on the training program. And I was speaking with, I was at the collective bargaining session today, and I was speaking with one firefighter, and he told me that many firefighters actually make a practice of selling their plasma, every 7 to 10 days, because they have to make ends meet between daily living expenses and then paramedic school. They just don't have enough money to make ends meet. And there's another concern with Florida's minimum wage going up to $15. If firefighters don't get more than a cost of living raise, pretty soon firefighters are going to be making minimum wage. And when you consider the kind of risks that firefighters take, the kid asking you if you want fries with that at McDonald's is not required to run into the burning building. These are the men and women that we rely on to save us in times of emergencies. We owe it to them to treat them better. I mean, they expose themselves to all kinds of carcinogenic, compounds when they run into, fiery buildings. And, on top of that, it's really just beyond me that we would not that the city of Ocoee would not pay them, you know, more than minimum wage to protect their cities. Police cadets in Ocoee make $18 an hour. Those are cadets. Those are temporary employees employed by the Ocoee's police department. $18 an hour for cadets, and then the firefighters make $13.74. I think the city can do better.
That's food for thought. No, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you for adding to the information that we knew. You know what I mean? Because we were equally confused. You know, we had heard, we talked about it about 2 weeks after the story initially broke, and we were, you know, talking about the initial conflict and that conversation between the firefighters union and the city of Ocoee, and kind of the roadblocks that they were encountering. So thank you for that. And I understand that this is kind of a series for you. Like the cover story that you release isn't going to be the only story, correct?
No, there's more to come. That I can't talk about just yet.
Right.
But we are planning future stories. One bright thing that did come out of today's collective bargaining session is there seemed to have been a bit of a misunderstanding. The city seemed to misunderstand what the union had proposed, and that was a happy moment, because initially the city had just completely rejected all of the union's articles, and the union declared an impasse, which is when they say that the city is not negotiating in good faith. And that was the first time I was told that had ever happened in Ocoee. And so when the union declared an impasse, that brought the city back to the bargaining table, and suddenly they were ready to negotiate. And in the middle of that, it was discovered that they were not as far apart as they initially thought that they were. The union and the city both agreed on a 3% raise for the first year of the next contract, and then the union wants a 5.5% raise for the second year of their contract, while the city wants to give a 4.5% raise for the second year. The union wants a 5% raise for the third year, and the city wants a 4% raise for the third year. So they nudged a little closer together. So that was some progress. They're still far apart on some other issues, but that was some progress. So they might get there.
Thanks again for sharing that. And you guys take notes, because the plot continues, possibly thickens. But in the meantime, we're going to take another quick commercial break, and then we're going to take Norine through the lightning round. Like, there are a few hot topics that are kind of on the table nationally, and we want to pick her brain. We want to get her thoughts, her hot takes on some of these topics. So we'll be right back on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
And we are back with FNN Politics and Power with Norine Dworkin, who is the founding editor of VoxPopuli. So, Norine, let's get into this lightning round. We've got 3 hot topics that we wanted to kind of run by you. So, firstly, obviously, there was the news in terms of House Speaker Pelosi choosing the next GOP member on the January 6th commission in terms of investigating the insurrection. So, kind of give me your thoughts on all of what's been going on there.
Well, first, we need a January 6th commission, because we need to, get to the bottom about how that all went down. I watched that on TV and was absolutely dumbfounded. Never seen anything like it, and honestly, I was scared to death. That just never seen anything like it. The fact that members of the House would describe it as a typical tourist day is absolutely mind-blowing to me. I am saddened that that they couldn't come to a bipartisan commission the way they did with a 9/11 commission, because I think that was necessary. So I was glad to see that Nancy Pelosi went ahead with her own commission. I think the people that she chose are the Republicans that she chose to make it bipartisan are good choices. Liz Cheney is an excellent choice. She's going to work, and she's going to look for the truth of what happened. She's an absolute conservative Republican. There's no doubt about her credentials of being a Republican. There's almost nothing that I agree with Liz Cheney about, but she's shown that she's willing to stand up and speak the truth about what actually happened. The election was not stolen. There wasn't rampant fraud, and I'm pretty sure that was the only thing that Nancy Pelosi said was her issue. She wasn't going to stock the January 6th commission with people who said that they were trying to overturn the election. I think that was her only red line in the sand. So the fact that she found Republicans to join the commission who who are dedicated to finding out the truth of what happened, and who weren't going to muddy the waters by going to look for other issues, like was Antifa there, which that's not a reasonable thing to spend time on. We know that it was Trump and Trump supporters who started the insurrection. We don't need to drift into other things just to do this whataboutism. We need to really find out what happened that day. So I think Nancy Pelosi is doing the right thing, and Speaker McCarthy, Minority Leader McCarthy is just trying to deflect and create a distraction.
And kind of jumping into that next one, obviously we're with the Delta variants and cases going up across the country. There's obviously the conversation about healthcare workers and the possibility of mandating vaccines for them. And, the VA made that announcement. So kind of talk about that.
Well, to my mind, I think if you are working in the healthcare field and you are working with other people who are going to come in contact with you, you absolutely have to be vaccinated. It seems to me that wouldn't even be an issue. And the fact that there are healthcare workers who are refusing to be vaccinated, it's mind-boggling to me. The research is solid. There's no reason to doubt the safety and the efficacy of this vaccine. And if you want to work in the healthcare field and come in contact with other vulnerable populations, then I think as a matter of performing your job, you need to the Hippocratic Oath is first do no harm. So first, try not to infect your patients and, with a deadly virus that is, killing millions of people all over the world. I think that's the minimum. So yes, I am in favor. At rock bottom, if you're in the healthcare field, you need to be vaccinated. And I'm pretty sure that, the courts are going to back that up. So, yeah.
We shall see. That saga continues as well. And then lastly, we wanted to touch on critical race theory, and especially as it relates to the state of Florida, because this has been an interesting topic of conversation. You and I were at the legislative update by the Central Florida Black Caucus last week and heard their response to it, and just kind of go into that.
Yeah, this is the Republicans' big boogeyman this season. And first, it wasn't being taught for one thing. So DeSantis, he's making a gigantic deal out of something that wasn't even an issue. But this whole thing really came out of the New York Times 1619 project, which just repositioned the founding of the country from a completely different perspective, which doesn't take anything away from the founding fathers to recognize that they were enslavers. And I think broadening the lens on American history doesn't make our history any less wonderful and inspiring, but it gives a deeper understanding of how our country came to be. And I think that students have the right to know how our country came to be. For instance, we celebrated the 100th year of the Tulsa race massacre this year. My son did not learn about that in school. He found out about that on TikTok, which major props to the TikTokers who did a bang up job putting together videos that really taught. So the thing is, DeSantis can do all that he wants to try and stop kids from learning about it in school, but the knowledge is out there. Kids are gonna learn it. And, teachers can help shape what the kids learn. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, putting different perspectives into school, because, the kind of history that I grew up with was, the great white man history, so I missed out on a whole lot of history that dealt with, contributions of women and contributions of other, Black Americans. And I missed out on, all the things that, our, predecessors did to Native Americans. And, a lot of our history is ugly and it's brutal and it's bloody, but we need to know that. And, protecting kids from that does a huge disservice to our kids. So, and it has nothing to do with, whether you're, white or Black or Hispanic or Native American. It is our history, and kids need to know American history. So,
mic drop. But yeah, thank you for sharing your takes on all of those. We're going to take a very brief break, guys, and we're going to come back and wrap up with Norine Dworkin. So stay tuned.
We wanted to move back home to be closer to his family. We decided to go with pods because things were stressful enough.
We weren't sure how long we were going to need storage for, so we needed something that was flexible, and then they can deliver the container to wherever we move to.
We haven't found the perfect house yet, but we're still looking.
And we are back with the FNN Politics and Power Series, wrapping up with Norine Dworkin. So, Norine, kind of, if there's anything that we haven't discussed, because we talked about a lot, but if there's anything that we haven't discussed that you feel the audience should know, go ahead and let us know.
Well, VoxPopuli is available for everybody who's interested in politics and government issues and social justice issues. We cover a lot of ground, and just please come give us a read. We are we've got a reader survey that we're asking people to take, and we are open to ideas. So our staff is small, and we are always looking for new story ideas. So we can't be everywhere, And so we are open to story ideas. If people need to, want to, shoot us story ideas, we are completely open because, we just cannot be everywhere at once. But if stuff's going on in your community, we've got a contact, form on our website, and we are open to, hearing about the story that you want covered. So let us know.
And guys, look below. You'll see the website there. It is www.wintergardenvox.com if you want to find out more about VoxPopuli, more about the VoxPopuli team. It is not just Norine, but if you want to find out more about the team and kind of get into the stories that they share, that's their website if you want to find out more. Norine, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate having you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for always tuning in here at the FNN Politics and Power Series. Again, if you haven't yet, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You'll find us at Florida National News, at FNN News TV, or at FNN News Live on Facebook. You'll find us on YouTube at Florida National News, on Instagram at Florida National News. We like to keep things simple and make ourselves easy to find. So be sure to like, share, subscribe. And when you're on YouTube, also click the bell icon so you can get all the notifications and never miss a single episode. All right. Of course, our show comes on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. All right. So be sure to tune in next Tuesday. We will have our next guest. Now, as you saw, we also run ads on our show. So if you're someone who owns a business or you're part of a company and you know that the company is looking to expand their platform, expand the platforms they want to advertise on, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com. Or if you're looking to sponsor one of our episodes or a portion of our website, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com and we will start the conversation with you. We'll be able to get you guys our media kit to get you started. In the meantime, thank you so much. I am Melissa Thomas. I will see you next Tuesday. In the meantime, you stay safe and have a great rest of your day. Take care.